Yeah, I'm back. So here I'm just mocking up a little bit and also putting away some things so the grandkids don't lose something inadvertently. I mean, they're pretty good about not touching Pop-Pop's stuff, but you never know. So things are a little... Well, let's just face it, things are always messy on the old desktop. On the bench. But anyway, so I cut a couple of templates. And we're right, so this one was for this. But you can see the depth on this landing gear leg ratio, the difference from between that and the standoff to the door isn't bad. I think this will work. There is one more larger diameter of tubing meant yet to go over this end, just down to about this point. And each of these overlaps is going to get a small ring. Here, I'll show you. I can show you on the other one. Leave that one in there. So you can see, here's, I don't know what I'd call this, is a clamp ring, I guess, a clamp ring. So there'll be one here, one around this, here. And so the scissor link is going to go between these two. This is the actual oleo portion of our strut right here. So between these two there will be the scissor link. That's the little V-shaped, I don't know what else to call it. It's a scissor link. And then there will be the axle and the wheel down here at the bottom, obviously. And then that extra sleeve of the largest diameter of tubing that I got the other day, which I think is this one. Let me see if I can whip this around without hitting myself. Let's see, is that it? Or is it the next size up? I guess it's the next size. Well, anyway, trust me on that. I've got one more, and maybe this is it. Don't pull that apart. Okay, here we go. Ah, here it is. Okay, so this one. It's going to go over the top right to about there, right? And then I think that one does not get a compression ring, or what did I call it before? Some other, you know what I mean? One of these. So this overlap will not get that, but all the other ones will. And what did I just do? Oh, I took it off. Okay, so the final one will not. This one will, but not that large diameter one that sleeves over this. I'm probably confusing everyone, but anyway, this standoff distance looks pretty good. Remembering that on these doors, when I make these, they're going to be made with this same material, but it'll be backed with balsa that's nearly the same shape, that just basically the same shape exactly, but with, oh, I don't know, about a what would that be, about a 1/16 of an inch reveal, pushing toward an 8, 3/30, let's call it a 3/32 reveal. So that sheet of balsa will go inside of the sheet of birch ply with that 3/32 reveal all the way around, and that's going to be about, well, I don't know, probably 3/32 thick, same as the material I'm using on the sheeting and the infill. This stuff. So made of this material and leaving that reveal and going basically all the way around on every door, the lower gear door, the upper door, and the fuselage door, what I'm calling, or the wing root door, if you like. They all have that heavier lining on the inside. If you look at reference photos of P-47 landing gear, you'll see the doors are extra thick, right? So there were a couple of things about the P-47, about its robust construction. Having the turbocharger here in the belly of the beast, so to speak, the airplane was relatively heavily armored. I mean, it was designed to take a beating. And if you look at the gear doors and the belly pan itself, even the pan is pretty thick material. It houses the charger, the supercharger, which is a substantial piece of equipment below the pilot. And so for belly landing situations, and the airplane almost never broke apart. In flight, the airplane could take a beating from cannon machine gun fire and still fly. You know, the thing is it's a beast. The term juggernaut, I mean, not only offensively, but, you know, just as really a flying dragon. The airplane would be hard to bring down, and it proved that time and again. I think somewhere I saw one of the documentaries or something I read, one or the other or both, you know, one referencing the other. This is the only aircraft that every pilot who achieved was an ace in this airplane survived the war. There were other planes, P-38, P-51, had aces, but a lot of them didn't survive the war. I want to say every pilot who flew the P-47 with more than 5 victories made it home. And that's just a testament to the fact that it was overall probably the most survivable aircraft to fly during the war. If you were, in other words, if you were capable of flying it, if you could achieve 5 victories and were a decent, that would mean you were a decent pilot, both offensively and defensively. It just meant that a more skilled pilot, somebody who could recognize a threat and fly the aircraft to its strengths and escape, you know, an outnumbered situation or a disadvantage in the air, you know, would likely survive the war. Whereas the pilots of the other aircraft, you know, couldn't necessarily say that. The airplanes being shot at couldn't take the pounding that the P-47 could, I think, is what I've been trying to say for the last 2 minutes. So anyway, we look all right on the gear, on the distance here from the landing gear legs to the doors. So what'll happen here is I was laying out these to see where I would be marking them to cut the openings for the doors. And here's a trick. Excuse me. Here's a trick. So we'll slightly overlap this. And again, you know, this is being just wood. I can file it if I need to make it larger. I can't. The only thing I can't do is make the opening smaller. So the way I'm going to cut into this is I'm going to trace around these. Now these will be cut directly to the line. I'll trace them onto these fairings, this cover. Oh, let's see if I have the other one here somewhere. I don't. I'll use this as an example. So we'll trace them exactly to this shape. We'll come in here, trace around this line here, and up here and across and down, directly onto this line. But then what I'll do before I cut is I'll move that line in about 3/32. So the actual openings cut into the birch ply piece will be smaller. And what that'll do is it'll be sized to fit the liners that I'm going to put the balsa wood. Remember we talked about I'm going to line the inner insides of these doors with that 3/32 balsa to thicken them to their scale shape, and that's what's going to fit into the cutouts on the fairings. So if you follow me, that'll give me room to size these out further if need be with the filing or with sandpaper. I can wrap sandpaper around a dowel to get this surface. I can use the straight file up here and along these edges, the straight edges, to perfect that opening to fit those doors after they're fabricated. Remember, I'm going to be cutting this open before I've really got anything settled. So the other thing that it'll do is once we have this door and the overlying door, the straight door attached to the landing gear leg, and we see where those fall, depending on where that is. If it's down here, well, I can just modify the wing root door, make it, just cut it out smaller and make it work. If it needs to be longer, you know, we'll make the wing root door longer this way, thicker this way. You know, so this is where the final adjustment will come in, and getting a perfect clean fit on this line. So these don't have to be, this needs to be perfectly sized. These need to be to scale. They need to look good, because the gear, when it's down, is what you're going to see. When this is open, you're not going to know whether it's big or small compared to scale. As long as it has this shape, we're good. So that's where I can make the adjustments. That's where I can tailor this part to fit this on the opening, depending on where this ends up landing. I have some leeway. I don't have a whole lot of leeway. So for now, we look like we're going to continue with the idea of having fitted retracting gear. That is, landing gear that will retract flush into the wing, or pretty darn close. Still on track for that. Now that could still, we could still miss that mark. This may not be right. I don't know at this point how this is going to look. All I know is that, you know, we can you know, tomorrow's another day. We're still in a fight, and I can keep working toward that end. There might come a tipping point where I'll look at it and say, it's just not working. Well, I'm still going to leave the gear functional if I can't get it to fit into the openings. The aircraft will still have posable landing gear, it just won't be fully retractable. We make an airplane look like it is on approach, or just taking off, the gear coming up, just not completely retracted. Have that look. For a departing aircraft, same for a landing aircraft, the flaps at the first notch, the gear coming down, maybe the canopy partly open, as pilots would often do. At the lower speed of the airplane, clear anything out of the cockpits, you know, smoke, any residue from combat, you know, they want to blow that stuff out. Also, you know, in case the airplane decides to catch fire on final, you want to have that canopy open already, so you can get out quick, jump on the wing, and jump in the dirt. So anyway, I digress again. This is where we are, and this is what I'm looking at, and I'm still hopeful that we'll be able to get the gear to work. More hopeful at this point than any other so far. So I've got the wheel wells painted up, and you can see that here. Let's see, this one is for the other side, I want to say. Let me look. Should be, oops, it goes this way. There we go. Yeah, this one goes this way, this one will go this way. You can see they're painted. I haven't detailed them or done any of that stuff yet. Still looking at what else I might need to do. I was going to add, I wanted to put the paper down here first, just so that I could cover all the seams where the infill, you could see the infill and the stringers and all that. I wanted to put paper down over that and just line the top of the wing surface, the inside of the wing surface with the paper. So that smooths things out quite a bit. Now the next thought was to put just a shallow low deck in there, and let's see if I can show you what I meant, just using a piece of wood. Let's see. Now, this is by no means anything, it's just meant to illustrate a point. So I could put a shallow flat deck in there, just a square cutout. You know, maybe put the end flaps, you know, maybe about, well, whatever the height of this is, make those end flaps that long. So we would literally have like a box top that would fit in there, flat, you know, level and flat, and then I would put the reinforcement. The aircraft had strips of L metal running laterally through here as a reinforcement for the material and to make up for the loss of strength of the wing where these big holes are. Anyway, there would be that material going across in a straight line. I'm thinking now I don't necessarily need to go full scale, and I'm still concerned about how much room I might have in here. If I step that up, now if I make it just level with, you know, with this, not any higher or not more than a millimeter higher than that, it's not really going to affect how high the wheel sits in there. Let's take a look at this. Again, we're not going to be able to see the wheel. I just want to see what it does. Okay, so you can see that with the wheel on there, the landing gear arm begins to come up just slightly, which is fine because that's also the angle of the wing. We want to match that angle. If the landing gear leg is absolutely horizontal to the surface of the earth, that's going to leave the landing gear doors sticking out at an odd angle when the gear's open. So I actually want that angled upward just as it is here. I don't know if I can display that for you, but that's what we want. And this can still flex far enough to get to the wheel. So there's going to be a little bit of, once I get the wheel on here, it's going to take. Let me see if I can show you this. So the wheel would be sitting about here. I'm going to have to pull this down to get the wheel to go in and recess. And that's fine too, because that'll help as part of the friction lock that'll keep the landing gear up in the retracted position. That plus maybe a few tricks that I might do. But anyway, that I just wanted to show you how that kind of fits, and what the wheel, adding the wheel to this geometry actually does as well. Okay, so how I'm going to continue to dress these out, using the photographs and so forth, I might still add that decking in here. Just use a sheet of another sheet of the birch ply, maybe a thicker sheet, something I can actually drill into if I need to put the solder that I'm going to use to represent the hydraulic lines and the electric power that goes to the. Anyway, there's still some up in the air stuff. The way I might, how scale I might do these, and how much I want to push on with the project. Not that I want to take shortcuts or speed it along.